Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video for today. So in today's video, let's actually have a solid update on the advanced money doubler. No advanced money destroyer anymore. We are way past that. So right now, at the time of making this video, this is basically the current state of the market. Now it opened up green across the board. If you've watched the live stream, it was green across the board. Now we're seeing a lot more of red. AMD is still up 3.2% right now. Google up close to 3% as well. Nvidia up 2.6%. So definitely some names are green, but it seems like the market is maybe, failing to find more and more buyers. For example, if we look at the watch list here, which we see every time during the live stream, we can see that some stocks that have gone up at the opening, right? I think Nebius was closer to $55. Now it's actually down 1.3%. Reddit was also up 7-8%. Now we're only up 2.5%. So definitely a lot of stocks have opened up very, very green, but it seems like now we're seeing quite a lot of profit taking, and it makes total sense. A lot of these names have gone up 100%, 200%, some 50% over the past month or so. So it is normal to see some profit taking. It is normal to see the market sell off maybe a little bit. I'm saying the market sell off. We are at all-time highs for a lot of these names. So not much of a sell off, but this is where I want to go with AMD right now. Because AMD right now, as you can see, close to $143 year to date, we are now up 18.5%. We're up, of course, 24, close to 25% over the past month. And since the April lows, we are also here almost going to double. Not there yet, but we're not far away. Now, remember the sentiment under $100, and now you remember the sentiment around 142, and you can already see where I'm going with this. Under $100, under $90, it was, this is a joke, this goes to 40, this goes to 50, this is horrible, this is the next Intel, a shitco, whatever, right? All of these things were mentioned. Now that we're at 143, suddenly things are a bit different, right? AMD up 18.5%, outperforming the market, outperforming Nvidia year to date. And suddenly I hear things like, this is the next $1 trillion company. This is the best company out there. This will destroy Nvidia. And this is why I'm making this video, basically. This is why I'm making this video. Market cap $224 billion, trailing PE 94.6 times, forward one 32 times. I'll show you again the averages and all of that. You've probably already seen some of it during the live streams. So if you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons, especially the subscribe one. Would really appreciate that. And if you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. And a special thanks here to fiscal.ai for sponsoring this video and being an amazing partner for the channel and for the live stream. So with regards to AMD, if we look at the ratios for the company, right? And then we're going to have a look at the average, the median. So if we look at the forward valuation, just so we are on the same page here, if we look at forward PE, for example, we'll look at forward PE, we'll look at the median here for AMD, and we can see the following. For the last 7 years or so, median forward PE was basically where we're at right now. The only difference is that right now, I do feel like AMD is a much more complete company than it was 5 years ago or 7 years ago. Of course, here, I mean, if we even add, for example, the average, right? The average will not be that much of a difference. The average was 35.5. A lot of this has to do with the spikes that we've seen right here, right? When there was basically no E, or the E was very, very low. So we've got these spikes, which of course increases that average. But that said, again, AMD today is a much better company than it was a couple of years ago. AMD today is also a company that's expected to grow quite rapidly, right? In the past, if you look at 3-year CAGR revenue growth, 13.7%. Not that great, right? Not incredible. But if we look at the forward 2 years, compounded, 20.4%, so faster. If we look at EPS, 31.2%, increasing faster than revenue. So yeah, to me, today, it deserves to trade at a premium. That said, we should not be making the same mistake as people have done probably a year or so ago. A year or so ago, when AMD was at 180, closer to $200, right, back here in 2024, the mistake was that, oh, we're at $200, stock has gone up tremendously, we're at $200, this is the next NVIDIA, this is the next trillion-dollar company, and so it makes sense. No, it did not. Very simply put, it did not make any sense to trade around $200 last year. It did not make any sense to trade at $150 last year. It started to make way more sense when it was trading at around $120, $110 was very, very good. Then, of course, it went even at $100 and under $100, right? It made sense to buy at those prices because, one, it was cheap, and two, the business, the most important part of investing, the business is actually doing better and better. If we look at free cash flow expectations for the coming fiscal years, of course, all of this is available on fiscal.ai, previously FinChat, the stock research platform that you see in each of my videos. So in fiscal 2025, free cash flow is expected to grow close to 119%, then 43.2%, and then another 24.8% in fiscal 27 to reach $9.4 billion in just free cash flow, right? And I think the pattern here becomes quite clear, although the growth rates are coming down. I mean, the pattern does become clear. It's up and to the right. This is going to be a business that generates billions of dollars in free cash flow. And the more free cash flow that they generate, the more buybacks that they can do. And maybe in the future, for those of you that really, really need dividends, maybe in the future, they'll do like NVIDIA, they'll pay you a cent, right? Just to be included in that dividend club. But right now, I think the focus is definitely going to be on share buybacks for AMD. Another thing that makes AMD different today than before. Today, as we've seen with NVIDIA, but NVIDIA, of course, that happened already in 2023, data center, right? Data center revenue existed in the past as well. But data center in the past was not a big percent of the overall revenue. Right now, it is the largest chunk of AMD's revenue. And that's going to continue. That's a segment that has been growing much faster than the rest. So again, AMD today is not like AMD before. AMD today does not only have data center. No, AMD also has the client side of the business, which reporting-wise now also have the gaming side inside of it. Although right now we can still see the difference here. And gaming and embedded are two segments that are facing headwinds, but should be tailwinds in the back half of this year, right? I'm not saying we should go back to all-time highs back in April 2023, for example. No, but that's still, even if we don't go to all-time highs, combine those two segments, that's still an extra $1 billion that AMD can generate. And an extra $1 billion when each quarter you generate $7.4 to $8 billion or so, right? An extra $1 billion is a big deal for a company like AMD. An extra $1 billion for a company like NVIDIA right now doesn't really move the needle that much, right? But for AMD, definitely it does. So gaming and embedded, headwinds that will turn into tailwinds. We still have plenty of tailwinds for the client side of the business and definitely a lot for the data center side as well, especially as we go into the MI400 for 2026. That's going to be extremely exciting. But of course, right now the market does want to get maybe a specific number for guidance, right? Last year we've got around $5 billion, right, in AI revenue. What's the number for this year? At the start of the year, analysts thought this could double to around $10 billion or so. Right now, analyst consensus is closer to $8.4 billion. We still don't know what AMD really means by strong double-digit growth. We would generate tens of billions of dollars of revenue, in the future, right? So we don't know what's the real number for 2025. My prediction was that they're going to give us that number in the back half of the year when they're more confident, right? The MI350 series has launched. It's going to ramp up in the second half of the year. So maybe we're going to get more information by then. Remains to be seen. But the big move is, of course, the rack scale solution, the MI400, the versions after that, and of course then the MI500. That's really when the fun should start for AMD. So before continuing, like I said, all of this is available on fiscal.ai. New users will get Fiscal Pro for free for 2 weeks. If you really love it, you can get 15% off if you use my link down in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, a quick summary for those that missed it. Remember, the market for data AI accelerators is expected to reach $500 billion by 2028, according to Lisa Su. Not only that, the inference, that's expected to grow over 80% compounded also until 2028. So the opportunity here is immense. Of course, I still expect, for those that say, oh, NVIDIA doesn't have inference. NVIDIA has inference. I don't know who made this stat up that NVIDIA does not have. NVIDIA has training and inference just like AMD has training and inference. Yes, it's true that AMD did focus a bit more on inference because it was a bit late for the training side of things, but NVIDIA certainly is not being left behind. We know that OpenAI and AMD have been working together, more specifically on, well, the MI400. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Again, here AMD showing off while AMD today is much stronger than before. They say this is the best end-to-end AI compute portfolio in the industry. So you've got the AMD EPYC, Instinct, Pensando, AMD Ryzen AI and Radeon, and then AMD Versal, which is this one right here, highest AI processing at the edge. We've had, of course, the announcement that Oracle and AMD will collaborate to help customers deliver breakthrough performance for large-scale AI and agentic workloads. The number here, the amount here was a bit surprising to me, right? And I think we talked about that before. Oracle will offer Zeta-scale AI clusters accelerated by the latest AMD Instinct processors with up to 131,072 MI355X GPUs to enable customers to build, train, and inference AI at scale. Of course, that number remains to be seen, how fast they can actually bring all of this online. This is basically the major overview and summary from the Advancing AI event. I already talked about that before. They compared here AMD Helios, which is this thing right here, which will be available in 2026. They compare it to the Vera Rubin from NVIDIA, so highly, highly competitive and, well, actually sometimes even better, according, of course, to their own data. They also said that if you use the AMD Instinct MI355X, you'll get up to 40% more tokens per dollar compared to the B200s. We can see here a huge, huge increase, right? Up to 10x more performance for the most advanced frontier models for the MI400, making the MI400 the highest performing accelerator out there. Then, as I've shown you before, all of these segments, the growth rates for data center that increased 57.2% last quarter. Client side of the business, don't sleep on that. That's also a segment that is bigger than before, and growing much faster than before. Now, that said, I do want to repeat something else here. NVIDIA and AMD free cash flow margin. Of course, NVIDIA, as you can see, this is basically the inflection point. This is when NVIDIA was trading at $112 pre-split at the end of 2022. And then it all changed, right? And then you see free cash flow margins in the mid 40%. For AMD, previously, they were at 20%. Then we went all the way down to 4.9%, and now we are making our way back up. Do I expect to see such a huge increase and we're at 40% 4 quarters from now? No, not yet, at least. Not yet. I think it's going to be slow and steady for AMD. Then, gross profit margin. Let me remove myself right here. Gross profit margin. Here we can see, of course, again, NVIDIA, the huge inflection point. And then with regards to the new product mix and all of that, we know why gross profit margin for them has come down. But for AMD, as you can see, solid, right? Solid increase over the past couple of years. Gross profit margin, it goes up and to the right. This is exactly what you want to see. And this is what I think we'll see continue in the next coming quarters. Lastly here, and that's the stock. So, of course, we've had a huge, huge increase, right? We're up almost, let's see exactly the number since the lows here back in April until today. We're up around 85, 86% or so. Of course, on the daily right now, we are overbought. And this is something that I've shown you during the live streams as well. We are overbought, not just for AMD, but for plenty of other stocks out there. And that's the thing. That's the danger also right now. Business-wise, we're doing very well with AMD. Just that stock-wise, market-wise, I do think the market is running very, very hot right now. I think there's a lot of chasing, there's a lot of FOMO, lots of stocks going up 15, 20% on a daily basis. Doesn't make much sense, but I guess when things go up, nobody really wants to ask any questions. But yeah, don't get burned, don't chase things because it never ends very well, right? It never ends, even if AMD here is a very, very good business. Don't chase. Yes, sometimes things are overbought and we go back down because things need to calm down. And so all in all, that's about it. Great business, great businesses actually across the board here. But in the short term, I would not be surprised if we have a small pullback, right? Because a lot of these stocks don't make any sense right now at current valuations. A lot of these stocks don't make any sense. With AMD, finally, right? Finally, we can actually laugh and smile and say, we were right, right? We were right, because if we go back to the other videos where AMD was coming down from 110 to 100 to under 100, everybody was laughing, advanced money destroyer, shitco, etc., etc. And now we're here, up 18.5% year to date, $143 per share, doing very well, very good news, right? This stock has gone up on not just momentum for the stock, but momentum for the business. And that's the most important part. So yeah, all in all, that's about it. We can celebrate, but don't chase, don't FOMO, concentrate on the long term. So all in all, that's about it for me in this video. If you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons, especially the subscribe one. Do check out fiscal.ai. Link is down in the description and in the pinned comment. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.